try not to repeat. So I would, if you've done something like, I'm just going to go back to this filing system, implemented this filing system, you may choose other things to talk about down here because you're using up space if you're repeating. And also it's going to be a bit too repetitive. So you're thinking about, what are my big key achievements? Because if they're looking for 7 seconds, you want them to know the really great stuff you can do. And then in the employment history, it's all the other stuff. Now, if you don't have much, you could write it again in here, but think of a different way of putting it, to make it sound different. You don't want to word for word repeat it down here. I would keep it like this. It's easier for someone to scroll down with their eye and just, rather than having to dart around in different columns. And again, for an ATS system, they don't like columns and different places to go. So it's much better if you just keep it real. I know it's not the most exciting of CVs, but it's kind of just a simple, easy way to read. Such a difficult one, isn't it? Because you can't get away from it. If you've worked for a long time, people are going to be able to tell. I mean, one of the things, as I say, I put further employment history details available upon request, and that almost can hide a bit of your age, because you can get rid of sort of the last few jobs that you did, so that they don't quite know how old you are, because they don't know how long you've worked at the places initially. But your education usually gives it away anyway, because and I know it's difficult, but yeah, I've always been told that we need to put dates on things, that we need to date. So I don't.
And how far should I go back? I mean, because it says, although you put like.
Don't worry about the month if it's too, because I think maybe you do it for the last job, but I think for other jobs, if you put the year, because you can't, I can't remember what month I joined, like in 1998 or whatever. But again, no one cares what happened before 2000 anyway, so any jobs before 2000, or even now, we're getting up to 2005 really, so anything 20 years prior to now, so long ago. The only time I include jobs from there is if they're really relevant to what you want to do now. So there's a couple of clients who said, one client had such good sales success in this job that he really wanted to include it. Now, personally, we had a discussion. I'm thinking, well, yeah, you were a successful salesperson 20 years ago. I'm not really sure how much but you haven't done so well recently. So I mean, I didn't say it like that, obviously.
I know, but that's the thing, how far you can go back to it. Just makes sense to be talking about things beyond 2000.
Yeah. What he's got to do, in that instance was, what I was saying to him was he had reasons why he hadn't sold very well recently, and it was not his fault, but we've got to think of ways of trying to show his skills now, rather than sort of looking back to 20 years ago and trying to hang on to that, because I just don't think that's relevant now. What you could do, and it's up to you. What I tend to do is try and weave the key skills into the achievement. So I would put something like, used my excellent communication skills to do X, Y, and Z, and show the achievement. What a lot of CV writers do is they don't put the achievements. Oh, sorry, I was just clicking on it to highlight it. They don't put the achievements. All they do is put key skills, and then all they would put was communication skills, attention to detail, and so it's up to you which you want to do. It's obviously a lot easier to just put your key skills in than to try and think up all your achievements and stuff. It's a personal thing. I think it adds value to highlight your achievements at this stage, because people are seeing it immediately. And what I'm trying to do is say, let's get that person hook, line and sinker. They've just read your marvelous personal profile where you're telling them how excellent and fabulous and brilliant you are, followed by look at all these 5 to 7 key achievements that I've made, and I've used all these brilliant skills. Don't start all the time with used my, to change it around a bit, but you just try and weave them into some of them, the achievements, the key skills, and yet there you are, you're saying, look at what you get. You get, I'm a data analyst and I've done this, I've got this brilliant attention to detail, and the company, I've saved the company £100,000 because I realized that they were doing this wrong, and from my data analysis and X, Y, Z, and they're going, oh, I like this person, I want to hear more about that.
Okay, because obviously you're going to repeat some of that back into the employment history, but that's okay.
I would try not to repeat it further down and use other things that you've done here down here. I tend to pinpoint the company I'm working at on here as well, so that so whilst working for the NHS, Slough, whatever, I did this, or blah 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 blah, so that they know which company it is, and you then don't have to repeat it further down. Okay. I think that's fine. I would definitely mention, I definitely mention it in the employment history that because I always put like a bit of a 2-line blurb at the beginning, just to explain a bit about an overall what you did, and then break it down into a bit more detail here, and that's a good way of explaining. I was promoted after a year because of, but if there was something quite specific, because as you say, if you're great at organizational skills and things, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't, because you'd want to highlight that, right? That they thought you were so great, they promoted you. So I think it's showing your transferable skills. So yes, you put that, but so I would highlight it in the personal profile. If you're now changing career, it would be that you now want to use all this great experience that you've gained in your 8 years as a sales and marketing exec, to bring fresh vision to your role within this, so you're kind of showing, and all the time throughout the CV you're showing all these lovely transferable skills. Well, yes, I have been in marketing, but hey, I had to have fantastic communication skills, which you need, so I'd be the perfect person for your role. So it's always trying to kind of show how that translates into the role that you're now wanting to do. With LinkedIn, they're kind of, I think sometimes from the application process I've seen, sometimes you are allowed to attach your CV, and sometimes they just are using your LinkedIn profile. Sure. So it's about making sure your LinkedIn profile says what you want it to say, and that's a whole different topic, but it would be so LinkedIn is a little bit different from your CV. So you can transfer some of the stuff you've got on your CV onto LinkedIn. The employment history, for example, is fine to sort of transfer over, in my opinion. But there's some other sections that you really need to work on to make sure that you're getting the best from your LinkedIn profile. CVs are still, I believe CVs are still very important, but LinkedIn is way up there now. It's your professional brand. It's being consistent throughout the different places that you can be found. So I saw somebody and they had their name was different on LinkedIn and their CV, because it was an Asian name, and I think he used one part of it. It had several parts, and he used one part of it for one and one part of it for another. And I was like, well, it kind of, I don't know, it doesn't look great if you've got different names, you know. So it's making sure there's a consistency, and it's all about branding now, and your personal brand.